Wrong button. Over that. Unfold it. Okay. So in theory, I am doing crop sensing. Though for fields like this, sometimes what I've done is I've bought out the manure spreader and just thrown a bunch of manure down because it gets rid of it. And our manure tank is a little bit full. But I forgot. So, no problems there. I mean, I could run back and get it. Maybe I will. We'll do this field with liquid. But if the other two fields are not growing, I'll go get the John Deere and the and the manure truck and see where that gets us. Still, the wooden posts are being annoying. So, outside of Farm Sim, the week has been a little bit stressful. Both of our cars need some major repair work. So much so, I'm thinking we don't want the SUV anymore. It's going to cost us $3,500 to repair a vehicle that's probably worth about $8,000. And I don't think that's worth it. And while we don't absolutely need two cars, there are points in the month where we need two cars. So also getting rid of the SUV means I have nothing I can transport anything in. And since I have a lot of wood projects on the go, I kind of need to have wood available and to be able to ship it and not pay for a shipping fee. And sticking 6 foot long pieces of wood in the back of a Saab 9.3 just ain't gonna cut it. So, gotta figure out something there. But then Mrs. Osa had a call from her relatives, and one of her aunts has been diagnosed terminal. So she packed up everything, rented a car because we don't have a working vehicle, and dove off down to Ohio for the week with teenage Osa. So she's not been here all week. I'm not buying a car while she's not here. So we'll see how that works out later. She's been gone for the week. So I've been able to make myself a really, really, really nice chili, complete with tomatoes and mushrooms, which Mrs. Osa doesn't like. And I'll tell you what, by the third day, it's getting a little bit spicy. Or more spicy. So, hey, that's cool. I do like, one of our local grocery stores has sort of salsa starter mixes, or what else? Stew starter mixes, that type of thing. So yeah, they're sort of packs of onions and peppers and celery and some and all sorts of things, but they're all diced up, so I don't have to buy a pepper, dice it and use it. I can buy a pack of green, red and yellow peppers all mixed together, all diced up. So it's not. It's probably the equivalent of a full pepper, but it's all the colours rather than just a green one. So I can. So that's what I made use of: diced onions, fresh diced onions, and all sorts of fun things like that. I think the only things I bought were the jalapenos, and then a couple of tins of kidney beans, which we have a pantry full of kidney beans, and chopped tomatoes and all the things, because it's just useful. And you can go down to Sam's, buy a pallet of cream of chicken soup, and that's 8 to 12 tins depending on how big the pallet is. So and it's cheaper than going out and buying whenever or running out because you didn't realise. But yes, vehicles can be expensive. I got a feeling that the cause of the Chevy's current problems are probably a deer, which I hit sometime before Christmas, I think. Might have been during Christmas, January sometime. But this deer came bolting out of the grass area between an on-ramp and a highway. So it wasn't in the best of positions. It was, from where I'm sitting, it's behind the A-pillar. I can't see it coming. So the first thing I knew I hit it was the loud bang and seeing a deer head just above the hood of the vehicle. And I hit it with such speed, I broke its back. It did not die instantly. I mean, I looked in the rear view mirror and it was flailing around in the road, but it definitely wasn't going to be going far. Unfortunate, but looking at the vehicle cam, yeah, it ran faster just to get in front of me, and I folded in half around the front of the car. But that caused a lot of cosmetic damage, which was repaired. It probably also caused some steering and suspension damage, which nobody noticed until now, and therein lies $3,500 worth of repairs. Technically would have been covered by insurance if we'd found out back then. We didn't. I could talk to the insurance company, but I'm really not certain it's gonna fly. Plus there's the potential of other issues because of the impact itself. As for the Saab, what's the Saab got a problem with? Oh, the Saab just needs ball joints replaced, and I think one of the steering arm, the little bars that turn the front wheels, one of those is cracked. But that's not a surprise. We live in Michigan. You replace those every 5 years or thereabouts. And it doesn't matter if you have a brand new car or a used car or whatever. In about 5 years' time, you're going to have to do it all again because we just have horrible potholes. In fact, my wife came across a pothole probably last month. Was the width of the road and the depth of the axle in the middle of the road. And it's sort of, yeah, she had to, she stopped. She had to back up to get around it. And yeah, we went past there sort of a couple of weeks ago, and it's still there, and it's sort of, yeah, this is it. And I looked at it, and sort of, there's no way around that. So if you don't see it, you are going to have a huge car repair bill. And the Chevy's problems, front suspension, as I said, but it's also had both rear ball joints replaced in the last 3 months. Both times driving along, hit a pothole, the traction control ABS warning lights come on because something got knocked loose by a pothole. And part of the problem with that happening is generally most garages are not allowed to release a vehicle where the ABS system, if installed, doesn't work. So it's sort of, we have to fix this, or you have to basically promise us that you're taking it somewhere else to fix. So and we've had 2 of those go out on the Chevy in the last 3 months. So the Chevy has become very pricey and probably cost us as much as it's worth. So I'm just not paying another $3,500. Because it's just not worth it anymore. So now the question comes, what are we going to replace it with? And the Saab's still in the shop because, unfortunately for the Saab, it's not a particularly expensive problem. It's just a problem that can't be fixed overnight because there are no parts for it. So we've got the garages, or the workshop is trying to source some parts for us. They can be got, but it's not an easy thing. It's not like going into AutoZone and just picking the part off a shelf, which is a shame. But both my wife and I enjoy driving the Saab. We've had it in the shed all winter, but my wife tends to prefer to be in the SUV. In spite of that, it's only a front-wheel drive. It's technically no better than the Saab when it comes to driving in snow, except for the fact that it was built by Swedish engineers who live in snow for most of the year, so they make their cars to work in snow. Another option would be something like a Volvo. Volvo would be a good car to drive during the winter. Anyway, I probably missed the message that says this contract is complete because I've pretty much done this entire field. So we'll turn that off and we'll fold that up, lift it up and drive to the exit and call up the man and say, we done your contract. Please pay me. 5,000. Not bad. Okay, 36 and 37. Okay, there's the line of trees here. That's an access to this field. And I think you can get across the top to that one. So we're going to scout in the Fendt. But I'm just figuring it out. I mean, the Chevy is 7 years old. The Saab is 14 years old. We've owned the Saab since new. The Chevy we got about 3 years ago, so it's not exactly a new to us car either. Now I think I did mention last week that our problems with bales and the like had resulted in me losing the 8R and the Anderson Bale trailer. They just went into orbit. Over 1,000 miles an hour and just gone. So what I had to do was sell the vehicles because I couldn't tab to them. And buy new and then age them. So this is approximately aged. It's actually 3 hours older than it used to be, but that might be fair enough. It's the same number of months because you enter, when you're aging a vehicle, you edit the vehicle XML in your game save. Age is a whole number of months. So this tractor, 36 months old, I can just say age equals 36. Hours is in seconds, I think. So if a vehicle is an hour old, you've got to age it to 3,600. Hours was about 59.4, and so I multiplied it out and I didn't get the number quite right. So we've ended up with a 62-hour-old tractor. I don't mind, that's fine. But I might be selling the X-Tractor and the Anderson Bale tractor. What am I doing? I'll just talk and drive and then realise I forgot to pick things up. So, and I have removed a few more bushes around our farm to make things a little more open. Okay. And still I am using the solid manure to do most of the ground cover pre-planting, because quite frankly we still have a little time to go before the slurry is filled up. My slurry tank is a lot smaller. Could use slurry on the grass fields here. Anyway, let us pull up here and get this thing filled. Mrs. Osa did point out that maybe if we sold both vehicles and just bought one, it would make things in general cheaper, because you only have to pay insurance and tax on one vehicle, licensing on one vehicle, which generally works out cheaper than insuring two vehicles and licensing two vehicles. And we did for a while go with two vehicles. Oh, sorry, with only one vehicle. And I work from home. Oops. I should get myself a weight for this tractor, I think. And and the Saab isn't exactly cheap to run anymore. Part of the issue is it runs best by a noticeable margin on 93 octane. And 93 octane has a stupid premium. I remember back when we first came over here, 93 octane was 10-15 cents more than 87. That's not too bad. Today it's over $1. Looking at the local prices, diesel is 40 cents more than regular, and and then premium is over $1 more than regular, which is just ridiculous. So the Saab does cost a little bit, well, a noticeable amount more in gas when you're driving it, but it is more fun to drive. But yeah, I could be convinced. And maybe do something like go for 2 cars, but go for an older one. Although what I'm thinking probably isn't a good plan. Zoom out. There we go. Yeah, what I'm thinking of is we could buy a minivan so we can transport people, a fairly new one, and then buy an older truck. The problem with trucks is they tend to be extremely high mileage for their age. I'm not kidding. You know, I'm looking at a 14-year-old minivan. You can get them with somewhere between 100, 150, about the midpoints. 125, 130,000 miles on them seems to be about average for a minivan. For a truck, you're talking 220 for that age. So, not the greatest of ideas to buy a 10-year-old truck with 250,000 miles on it. Now, I was going to turn on the GPS. We'll do an auto width there. Cardinal 90. So yeah, this just gives me a chance to dump, probably getting on for 100,000 litres of manure on this field if we're lucky. Oh, we're crawling. And this is why I was considering the case with tracks. I don't know if the tracks would make a difference. I'm not going to worry about how much we're using here. So the more visits we have to go back to the farm, the more we use, which is fine. Looks like there's access to that field to our left from straight down towards the road. Anyway, obviously we go downhill a lot faster. So that's my vehicle woes. I did manage to pick up some wood yesterday to build. Well, I bought enough to build one planter because Mrs. Osa wants a couple of planters on the deck so that she can grow some stuff for the kitchen. I'm not sure exactly what we're planning for this year. I'm thinking herbs, spices, tomatoes, peppers, that type of thing that you can grow in small quantities and they do you quite well. She would like to plant peas and carrots and potatoes and stuff, but she's pragmatic enough to have said, well, if I do that, we would have to plant only peas or carrots or green beans or something to get a decent enough. Oh, that was the wrong one. let's try that one again. Yeah, in order to get a reasonably usable harvest. But so the plan is I will build a planter. I should have bought an extra 1x6. I didn't, and so it's going to be about 3 foot wide by about 1 foot deep, and if that works, which I think it might, I can buy more wood and figure out a slightly larger dimension for it. I also said once I've got one that works, I can always fashion up a grid for the back, or a trellis for the back of it, so that you can grow climbing plants like beans and peas. So we'll see how that works out. Unfortunately, I honestly don't know what the weather's planning today. It did say it was going to rain all the way through to 1 o'clock, and it's 9:30. I have not seen any rain yet, so I don't know. So I don't need the liquid fertilizer. I could take that back. I'm not going to bother. The fence kind of handy to run around in. But this is an awesome opportunity to dump. How much of this stuff have we got? We have 600,000 litres of manure to dispose of. Now, of course, one of the things that I've said I'm considering is getting a BGA, buying the placeable area and getting a BGA there. I think I said the little one can process 75,000 litres of all the things. I need a mate. Ugh. Maybe once I've done this load, I will go down to the store and get myself a weight. I mean, at least the advantage here is everything I make is